Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you've had a great week so far. This is Interactive Brenna, the channel where I, Brenna, am writing and building a choose your own adventure game. This week we are getting started on brainstorming the story for this game, so I'm really excited to get started. This will probably be more of a series than taking place all in this video because I don't want to rush the planning of this game because it's something that's really important to me, and so I want to take the time to do it correctly. Let's get started. Before I get started on the actual brainstorming, I just wanted to make a quick note. If you don't play very many games, there's usually a few different ways that writers can tell stories about the world. If you are really into large fantasy games, you might be familiar with the fact that these games typically use lore as a way to build the world around you. So you can pick up like a book and it has a very particular title, a reference to a specific place that you need to go as part of your quest. It could be a gold mine that has been abandoned because of a ghost living there. It can be so many things other than just the weird mystical sounding feeling that you get when you hear the word lore. Another one of the ways that writers typically tell stories through games is the character arc. This is when the character starts in one place and then moves to the other mentally or by some sort of drastic change. But this change really doesn't have to be drastic as long as you or the player of the game really understand why this character made the change from being point A to point B. Character arcs are something that is present in a lot of games. It really helps a player to identify with the main character of that game. For my game, I would definitely be relying on more of a character arc sort of setup, along with the next storytelling type, which is plot. The plot is what you would typically think of in terms of planning a story. For any of my writer friends, this is similar to the plot of a novel. It is what is going on in the external, which can cause the internal change in the character. So character arc and plot typically go hand in hand. And especially with games, you can kind of take a really abstract thought and not have to whittle it down as much, but the character arc within the plot is what makes the game entertaining. So even if you have an interesting plot, which I definitely plan to hopefully do, even if you have an interesting plot, you still want to have a great deal of character arc on the side, or go heavy into lore and really embrace the fact that these people are going to be playing your game and temporarily living in this world. Right now, I'm doing a text-based game, so a lot of the work that I'm doing needs to be told through things that players cannot see. I'm relying a lot on character arc and plot. That being said, let's go into the actual brainstorming of this story. I am going to be starting with the bigger picture idea, which is a little bit more of a description of the ideas that I am feeling whenever I look at the images that I showed you in the last video. A little bit more of what the story is actually about. It is me trying to grasp at a culmination of ideas and hope that something sticks. So I want to warn you all that as you watch this, be aware that some of these things may change from now to the finished product, but it is necessary for me to make these, I want to say, small mistakes on the way so that I can understand for myself if something's working or not. Because if I am trying to play through my game myself before releasing anything, I want it to make sense. I want to be able to understand what's going on from a perspective of a player who does not have all the planning that I have got going on. I hope the story still gets through. I hope the character arcs get through with as much as I'm being able to provide. I am kind of trying to tie in some nostalgia from my childhood with some, I don't want to say something that I love from my adult life, but it is definitely something that I enjoy on the day-to-day, and that is true crime. I love true crime podcasts. I've listened to a lot of them. I've listened to court cases that have been going on semi-recently. I'm not going to go into detail on those because I'm sure you can look it up on the news and find them. But true crime is something that, although it may seem morbid, it makes me feel a little bit more prepared whenever I'm going out into the world. In my own little way, I am trying to do a true crime meets Howl's Moving Castle story idea. For those of you who've never seen Howl's Moving Castle, it is about a magician who is under service of the queen and king, and Howl is essentially running from them because he doesn't want to use his magic in the way that they are requesting of him. There is a war going on in their world, and for the king and queen, it is necessary to have military powers. That means magicians like Howl have their powers used for hurting other people, which is not really the purpose of their magic. What does this have to do with true crime? Glad you asked. So I said it's Howl's Moving Castle meets true crime, and that's where we are going to start the basis of my story idea. My idea is to have the main player be a student in a small mountain town. I grew up in a small mountain town, and it's a very realistic feeling to me. It's something I feel I can write really well. So it is a college student who's in a small mountain town interning for one of the main profit-producing businesses in the area. The main character is looked down on because of the fact that they aren't a local. They are being seen as a villain for taking an internship which could have gone to a local but didn't. And this character is essentially just trying to find a place in this small town that makes sense for themselves. They don't really know very many other people aside from their co-workers, and they haven't really gotten out to explore that much yet. I'm going to start with that on one hand, and for the sort of magical, fantastic side that is Howl's Moving Castle, I have decided I am going to create a secret society. And this secret society has gained notoriety and fame for their ability to miraculously solve cold cases. If you don't know, cold cases are often crime cases like murders that have gone unsolved for, like usually a pretty good period of time. I don't know exactly how long it is before something is considered a cold case, but I know I have heard of cold cases which have been solved from many years ago based off of the updated technologies that we have now. This society somehow solves cold cases, and as a result, they have managed to rack up a good amount of reward money from the local police. To the local reporters, this seems a little fishy, but to the main character, they just kind of are impressed that these people are able to solve these cases. But there's hardly ever any explanation for how exactly they got to their conclusion, which I think is where I want to try and build a majority of this story. As I mentioned in my previous video, I am going to have the main character discover a dead body. And this dead body, I decided, is going to be a hiking instructor that the character has decided to hire as an effort to try and get out and become more familiar with the area. So, moving on from the office setting and their home setting to being out and about. I've got it imagined that the main character has already set up the hiking reservation with this instructor. And from the beginning of the game, we are going to see the main character going to meet up with the instructor at this specific hiking spot, slowly realize that the instructor's not there, though there's going to be obviously the wait. Why would you just automatically leave? There might be a little overlap in time, you never know. So there's the wait, and then there's the decision from the main character to go on a partial hike anyways. So this person looks at the trail map and begins the hike. And as they get, partway on their journey, partway through, they are going to stop with a weird feeling and not realize exactly what's going on. And then, this is one of those places where I realized that I'm going to have more choices for the character to make in between. But I think that I really, really want to follow an overall plot. So I think regardless of the choices that I give the player to make as the character, we're going to have a couple different endings, and I'm going to always make sure that those decisions branch to either ending and not really stray too far off of the initial story. That is for right now. I haven't really decided about how many side quest ideas I'm going to do, or how many interactions with non-playable characters there will be yet. But this is just a brainstorming session. This is just me touching base with what I have got so far. And so far it is a lot of ideas. Alright everybody, that is all I have for this week. I hope you'll stay tuned for next week, where I continue the crazy outlandish ideas I've got in my brain. But we're gonna try to whittle it down more to try and get this story started. Really started. Chapter 1, get your ass off the ground started. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified whenever I post next week's video. I post on Saturdays, and I'm planning to keep those schedules, so I hope you'll catch me next weekend. Bye!